We will begin this video by filling out the 4-H beef cow production records, which is a 2-page document that should be filled out for each animal that you have. Note that this is only filled out for female animals, and due to the size of this document, I will be zooming in on the areas we are filling out at that time. As we move through this video, look for the blue boxes, which is the area we will be focusing on in that segment. The information seen here is general knowledge information, such as your name, your animal's name, and the location you purchased the animal from. In the information in the blue box here, we see the cost or the value of the animal upon purchase, which, for Mama Moo, was $700. The disposal date, which is the day the animal either died or was sold, the reason the animal died or who it was sold to, Mama Moo was sold to Chuck Round, and the value of the animal when you sold it, which for Mama Moo was $600. The next portion we will move on to is the pedigree of the animal. For the purpose of these records, we only record the sire, which is the father, the dam, which is the mother, both grandsires, and granddams. A grandsire is the grandfather of the animal, and a granddam is the grandmother. Under the sire, the dam, both grandsires, and both granddams, we also record the owner of those animals, as well as notable production records, such as Ribeye siring 2 Grand Champion steers in 2013, or Doritos Locos Tacos having calved twins twice. Other information, such as Grand Champions at fairs, may also fit into this category. This can be seen in her Grand Dam Short Rib, who won Supreme Cow at the Montana State Fair. Moving on to the next section, the health record, we record things here such as illnesses, injuries, any treatments given, as well as vaccination records. It is important that we give dates here. As can be seen, Mama Moo received her tetanus vaccine on 3/21/18, as well as her 7-way clostridial booster on 9/11/18. However, she did have foot rot treated multiple times with oxytetracycline. As you can see by the number of times this was treated in her, this was likely a contributing factor to why she was sold. For the final portion of the first page of the cow production record, we come to the comments section. Here, we include things such as the show record and individual calf identification. It is noted here that in 2017, Mama Moo had a bull calf that went on to win 3rd place in its market class at the Clackamas County Fair. Now that we have completed this first page, we may move on to the second page of the beef cow production records. The information that will be filled out here is again general knowledge regarding the cow it is being filled out for. However, you will need to find out the birth weight, weaning weight, the age and days of weaning, how much your cow weighed at 205 days, and how much she weighed at 365 days. The next portion of this graph will be broken up into 3 parts. The part we will focus on at this moment is the calf number, breeding record, and birth record. In the calf number category, you will record the calves that your cow has had while she was in your possession. In the instance of Mama Moo, calf 1 is in the 2nd row and calf 2 is in the third. For the breeding record category, you will record the dates served to the cow. What is meant by served is how long the cow was in with the bull. For the birth record, you will first record the breed and name or the number of sire that your cow was bred to. For calf number 1, I use the breed and name. The sire of this calf was an Angus named Hot Tamale. For calf number 2, I use the number of the sire. In this particular instance, I use the registration number of the bull. For the birth date, you record the day the calf or calves were born on. The birth weight is the weight of the animal at its birth, if it is male or female, and its identification number for your herd, which is based on your individual records. For this instance, I used H13 for calf 1 and H25 for calf 2. This, of course, will be different from farm to farm. For the second portion of this graph, you will fill out the weaning record. This includes the date weaned, which is the day you took the calf away from the mother to prevent it from nursing, how many days old it was when you did this, and how much it weighed when you weaned it. Mama Moo's first calf was 213 days old when this happened and weighed 435 pounds. You will next calculate the weight of the calf at 205 days old. To do this, you will look to number 2 below, which has you subtract the weight of the animal, which in this case was 435 pounds, and subtract that from the birth weight, which for this calf was 71 pounds. This will give you 364. Now, you will take that and divide it by 213. This will give you 1.7. Note that the 213 came from the age in days. Now that we have 1.7, we times that times 205. This will give us 350. Next, we add the birth weight, which for this calf was, again, 71 pounds. This leaves us with 421 pounds at the 205-day mark. To calculate the grade of this animal at this age, we will evaluate it as a feeder calf. We will first do this by looking at its frame size, which should be relative to its potential and maturity at that age, and we will take its muscling into consideration. Since this process requires you see the animal in person, it is strongly encouraged that you do this with a 4-H leader that is experienced in grading animals. You may have noticed that calf number 2 was not calculated in this area. This is because, as you may have noticed on the first page, the cow and calf would have been sold together, since the calf was not of weaning age. Thus, her information is not needed to be put on here. For the yearling portion of this graph, for the date, you will record the day in which you recorded the yearling information. The weight is the weight of the animal that particular day, and the days since weaned is how many days it has been since you weaned your animal. To calculate the daily gain of your animal, look to number 3 below. you will see that you need to subtract the yearling weight of your animal, which in this instance was 762 pounds, minus the animal's weaning weight, which in this case was 435 pounds. Subtracted from one another, that is 327 pounds. Now, you divide that by days since weaned, which on here is 174 days. Once you divide that, you will see that is 1.88 pounds per day of daily gain. In the next section, the weight per day of age, you will look to number 4 below. Here, you will see that you divide the weight by the day of age. So you take your yearling weight, which again is 762 pounds, and divide it by 365 days. That leaves us with 2.09 pounds. To find the grading for your yearling animal, you will again look to number 5 below and decide between prime, choice, select, and standard. To decide this, you will look at your animal's intramuscular fat, or the amount of fat in the muscle, and the maturity of your animal. Again, it is strongly encouraged and suggested that you do this with an experienced 4-H leader, since you need to view the live animal to do this. To grade a breeding animal, which is the conformation score, you will need to look at the overall conformation of the animal, which is its breeding characteristics, which may be contributed from a purebred standard, or may not be, its muscling, meat quality, external fat covering, maturity, and marbling. This is again suggested that you do this grading with an experienced 4-H leader or member. The numbers to decide if your animal is prime, choice, good, or standard are derived from a score chart which you should obtain before scoring your animal. You have now finished the second page of the beef cow production records and may now move on to market animal records.